What is up, Scream Team? Zach Cherry here, and in this video I kind of wanted to go over all of the upcoming horror movies over the course of the next year or so and just kind of rank that based on my level of excitement for what's coming out here. So just make sure to toss this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below which of these movies are you the most excited to see. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It takes like 2 seconds, but it means the world to me. The first movie we have here is Bring It On, Cheer or Die. This is the 7th installment in the Bring It On franchise, which is obviously not a horror movie franchise, but you know, they decided to switch things up. This is something that I honestly, I'm not super excited for. I'm gonna put it in I can wait. I probably won't even see it. Like, if I don't get the Syfy channel or network, so if I can find it somewhere else and it's free to stream, sure, why not? The next one is Occhiali Neri. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That's the Italian name. The North American translation in English is Dark Glasses. This is Dario Argento's first movie in 10 years, and this is already released in Italy as far as I know, but it's slated for release October 13th on Shudder. And I'm excited for this because I do love to see new projects that are done by, you know, some of my favorite directors. I love how the key art is sort of an homage to the poster for John Carpenter's They Live. Honestly, this is probably not essential viewing for anyone other than me and probably a select few, like, niche group of people, but that's where I'm gonna put it here just because this is, you know, something that I've been waiting for. The next movie is Evil Dead Rise, and this is one that I'm really excited for. I'm just gonna say, take my money now. This was originally supposed to be released probably around this time on HBO Max, and they held off and decided to give it a theatrical release. So that's coming out April 21st of next year, 2023. And honestly, I think that's the best decision. I don't want to see like movies like this that should be theatrical releases just set aside to streaming. This absolutely needs to be seen in the theater. This is the 5th entry in the Evil Dead franchise, and this one actually sounds very interesting to me because it's about 2 sisters, but they're trapped in a high-rise apartment building in downtown LA. The premise just sounds very similar to the 1986 movie Demons 2, which also was about demons attacking people who lived in a high-rise apartment. Like, it just sounds so retro and 80s to me that I already love the Evil Dead series, despite the fact that I have not watched the television show. I know, shame on me, but this is a very anticipated movie. Next is Final Destination 6, which is, I don't know if that will be the final title. That's just what it's being called right now. And there's not really a lot known about this. Like, it's kind of been floating around out there, but recently it got a director's attached to it, like this past week. I'm gonna put this in essential viewing. I'm gonna put this below Dark Glasses, though. That's just for me. Dark Glasses is coming out very soon. We don't have a release date for Final Destination 6. Next is Friday the 13th. Obviously, this is going to be at the top, above Evil Dead Rise. This is another one we have no information on. It's obvious there's not a script, there's nothing. This movie was in development hell just because everything was tied up in the legal battles for so long. So as far as I know, there's going to be an announcement soon, or at least sooner than later, of what's going to be going on with this franchise. And really, I mean, I could probably in a future video talk about what I want to see in Friday the 13th, but whatever they do, I'm gonna be excited to see regardless. Halloween Ends, obviously coming out on the 14th of October. I mean, I'm not super hyped for this movie. If you guys have been following me, you know how I feel about this Blumhouse trilogy, but I'm not gonna like blow smoke up your ass and tell you that I can wait, or, you know, this is even essential viewing. This is take my money now, because, you know, I'm gonna be there opening night, like Thursday sneak preview night, and, you know, be the first in line to see it. Not hugely anticipating this movie to be great. My expectations are set very low. Like, the bar is way down there, which might be a good thing because that then might allow me to appreciate it a little bit more. But as it stands right now, this has to be at the bottom of take my money now. Next is Happy Death Day 3 or Happy Death Day to Us. There are no current plans or anything. All I know is that there's a script. that Christopher Landon has completed, and Jessica Roth, who plays Tree, is on board. And it's really just a matter of, I guess, Blumhouse greenlighting it, because the last one didn't do great. I'm going to put this in essential viewing. I'm going to put this at the top of essential viewing, because I really do enjoy this, I guess, franchise, we can call it, and just the character itself, because this is a very character-driven franchise. And if this is the trilogy, if this is the end, I kind of want to see where they go with it, because each movie so far has been completely different. That I expect this one to be a complete rehaul of the genre too, and just, trying something new. Next is Hellraiser, which is coming out on the 7th of October, and this is going to be on Hulu. I'm going to put in essential viewing. I'm going to say below Happy Death Day, but above Dark Glasses and Final Destination, because this is a franchise that is not great by any means. The first two movies are spectacular. The third and fourth one follow the continuity of the first two, and then after that, it's a shit show. The good news is that Clive Barker is attached to this. He's a producer, and he hasn't been involved in the franchise since the fourth movie. So that is a good sign that, he at least has enough faith in what they're doing. So I'm excited for it. Insidious 5. This one, I'm gonna say actually, let's put it in essential viewing at the bottom for now. I've only seen the first two. I haven't seen 3 and 4, and as far as I understand, 3 and 4 are prequels, and I hate prequels. That's another thing you guys probably know if you've been keeping up with me. Prequels are the lowest form of horror movie that could possibly be made. I'd rather see a remake before I saw a prequel, because you're basically just telling a story that we already know the outcome of. And unless you're going to do something new or add a twist that will make us look at the original a different way, there's really no point. So 5, as far as I know, is going to be a direct sequel to the second one. So they're finally moving forward. But next up is Knock at the Cabin, and the trailer for this just released recently. This is M. Night Shyamalan. He's never really done anything for me in terms of the horror genre. I know he has his fans. I don't want to skip it, because I am definitely interested. I'm gonna say I can wait, because this is something I don't need to see this in the theater. I probably will, but I'm gonna put it above Cheer or Die, just because I can't imagine that I'm actually going to see that movie. Next is Megan, or as I like to call it, Thregan. I'm going to put this in, oh my god, because do we need this? The premise of this sounds like the Child's Play remake, and it's Blumhouse, and it's slated for release in January. So January horror movies, that's never a good sign. I'm going to say I can wait. I'm gonna put it at the top of I can wait. MaXXXine. This is the third chapter in the X saga, the sequel set in the 80s that follows the events of X. And this I'm gonna put below Evil Dead Rise, because this is brand new information. We just got the trailer for this the day before Pearl came out, and this is just a teaser. So really, there's not anything that's known about it. We just know that it's going to go into production soon. It's going to star Mia Goth again. It's going to be written and directed by Ty West. And so far, X and Pearl, 2 out of 2, hit it out of the park. So I'm excited for this. I love the 80s aesthetic, and the fact that it takes place in Hollywood. I have no idea where the plot is going. I could definitely conjecture. I don't want to, but as it stands, this is a take my money now situation. Nanny. This one is going direct to Prime, as far as I know. It looks decent. It looks like a psychological kind of thriller. I'm gonna say I can wait, because I don't know anything about it other than that. It might be good. Pray for the Devil, or The Devil's Light. That is being released at the end of October. I'm just going to say, why do we need this? I'm so numb to these kind of possession, exorcism movies. Not to say that there's not any that are successful or really well done, but nothing from the trailer that I've seen countless times now, because it's been advertised in front of every movie over the past 3 or 4 months. It just doesn't look interesting to me. Quiet Place Day 1. This is another one I'm gonna say, why do we need this? This might be controversial. I'm not a fan of this franchise. Like, it's an interesting enough concept, but I found myself so bored during both of the movies. Oh, and this is a prequel as well, I should mention, day one. So obviously, like, with my mentality of, like, you know, where I think prequels belong, I'm gonna say, why do we need this, especially because it's a prequel. And because it's a prequel, I'm gonna put it below Pray for the Devil. Salem's a lot. This is from the same writer of the new It movies that came out in 2017 and 2019. I'm actually gonna put this above Final Destination. This was supposed to come out this year. I think it was supposed to come out September. So this has been pushed back. I don't think it has an official date yet. I think we just know it's gonna be 2023. I've never actually seen the original miniseries, but vampires. So that's always fun. Saw X or Saw 10. I can wait. I'm gonna put it below 3 again, because here, okay, I haven't even seen the most recent one, the Chris Rock Spiral one, and that's not for a lack of trying, but I feel mostly like I'm very numb to this franchise as well, because I think that 1 to 7 was really kind of the story, and they messed it up with the last one. Like, it was supposed to be 2 parts, and they just made like the weakest final chapter, and then that's why they did Jigsaw years later, and I didn't care for that one very much either, mostly because that, again, is like half of a prequel. And as far as I know from what I've read about Saw 10 is that they're gonna do a prequel again. I don't even think that this is a franchise that really needs more movies. I know a lot of people love Saw, but I'm gonna say I can wait. Which is very generous considering that it's a prequel. Next is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark 2. Skip. I did not enjoy the first one at all, so I have no interest in seeing the second one. There's no release date for this either, or I don't even think it's in production yet. Scream 6. This is obviously take my money now. I don't know if it's at the top of the list, because this is very soon. It's just over a year after 5, and you know, every Scream movie to date has sort of had a theme to it that's kind of more or less relevant to the current state of the genre. So I don't really know what kind of the underlying theme of Scream 6 will be, or Scream ! Or as I like to call it, Scream 6. I'm gonna put this below Evil Dead Rise, because that I'm like really excited for. I can wait for a Scream movie, a little bit longer, but also take my money now. Obviously, I'm gonna be there day one to see it, and it's my favorite franchise, so why wouldn't I be? But it's currently like, we just got a Scream movie. We haven't had a Friday the 13th or an Evil Dead in over 10 years. So those are priority for me right now. Next is a movie called Sick, which doesn't have a release date or a distributor. This was just screened at TIFF this past month. This is written by Kevin Williamson, and I'm really interested to see this. This is kind of this is set around like during the pandemic. It's a slasher movie as far as I know. From how Kevin Williamson described it, it's essentially one big chase scene, because he said that he loves and adores chase scenes in horror movies, and that's obviously been something that we've been missing for a really long time. So he figured, why not make an entire movie that is a chase scene? So that concept already sounds very intriguing to me. So I'm going to say this is essential viewing. Similar to just, my love for Dario Argento, I'll put Sick right underneath Dark Glasses, because when you have, figures in the horror community that you support who have obviously shown us that they can do great things in the past, I have faith in them, and I want to see what his next big project is going to be. Next is Spirit Halloween, the movie. This is also Skip. This just feels like Goosebumps territory for me. And not to say that I don't love Goosebumps, because I grew up on that, but it just seems like so juvenile to me. Like I have no interest in it. So this probably will actually go below Scary Stories. Next is the Strangers Remake. This is gonna be 3 movies. It's a planned trilogy as far as I know. And I don't know when they say remake if they're just completely, if they're doing the same thing over, because how old is that movie? 15 years at this point? That's pretty soon for a remake. I hope it's just more of like a reboot or just kind of a new timeline or like new characters. But honestly, like I'm game for it. I want to see what they do with this. Like I love the idea of like home invasion type horror, and I'll put that above Final Destination. But I'm interested to see where they go with this, and especially if it is going to be a trilogy of movies. Terrifier 2. I haven't seen the first Terrifier, so just keep in mind that this is based on me not having seen it. I'm gonna say I can wait. I'm gonna put it at the top of I can wait though, because when I say I can wait, I need to watch the first one before I see the next one. The only thing that might be a potential turnoff for me is that the movie is supposedly 2.5 hours long. So I don't know what they could possibly do. I mean, like movies like this are typically 90 minutes. So to add an extra hour on top of it, like I hope that it's like warranted. I don't want to watch kind of like a lot of filler, but maybe I'll be completely wrong and this is a take my money now situation, or even essential viewing. Next up is The Exorcist, or Untitled Exorcist project. And like, not that my curiosity isn't piqued, but there's a lot of things working against this movie for me. And the biggest thing is the fact that it is Blumhouse and David Gordon Green reuniting. Like this is the next project after Halloween ends, and I just don't think that David Gordon Green is a good director of horror. If this is his pattern, like we're just going to take another franchise. This is supposedly a requel of the first movie, where none of the Exorcist movies that take place after the original are going to be included in a timeline. And if that's the case, I'm sure that they're just going to call it The Exorcist, like they did with Halloween 2018. And I'm not going to say that I would rather see 3 again, or Bring It On, or Knock at the Cabin before that. So I'm going to put this in essential viewing, actually. I'm going to put this at the bottom of essential viewing. But just know, like, I have a lot of reservations. The first Omen. This, as far as I know, is not filmed yet or anything. It's just kind of like been announced or is in like the pre-production stages. It could not happen. I'm gonna say, why do we need this? Because this is obviously a prequel. If it's the first Omen, it's taking place before the Omen 1976. And for that reason, I'm just gonna say, why do we need this? Why do we need prequels? Why does Hollywood insist on making prequels? Like, come on, move forward, not backwards, The Meg 2. I'm not, the first one's fun, but it's something that I would never see again. So I don't really have any urgency to see the second one, but I probably would. And in that regard, I'll probably put it, I'd rather watch that than Knock at the Cabin, to be completely honest. The next is The Menu. We've seen the trailers. This is coming out in November. It's got Anya Taylor-Joy. So this one just looks really interesting, and I'm gonna put this in essential viewing. I'm not gonna say that I want to see this better than or more than Halloween Ends, but I would put this at the top of essential viewing, because this is coming out very shortly, and this is one that I want to see right away for sure. The Nun 2. I haven't seen the first Nun. I haven't seen The Conjuring 2. There's so many Conjuring universe movies that I have not seen. Because of that, I don't want to say that why do we need this, because I don't have an informed opinion to make that call, but I'd probably see this before The Meg 2, or I'd rather see it than that movie. But obviously I have to catch up. I have to watch all these Conjuring movies, probably the first one over again, because I've only seen it once in the theater. The next is The Thing reboot. That's all we really know about it. John Carpenter spoke recently, I guess like earlier this year, that saying that this is moving forward. There's really no details about this other than the fact that it's going to be more closely based on the source material, or at least a companion book that's called Frozen Hell. So I don't know if this is going to be a remake or a sequel or hopefully not a prequel, because we already had the 2011 one. I would actually love to see them kind of do like 40 years later, bring back Keith David or Kurt Russell, do the Halloween 2018 formula for The Thing. I would be down for that, as long as it's not David Gordon Green. But as far as I know, it's being produced through Blumhouse. So I'm gonna say, this is very high for me because The Thing is one of my favorite movies. I'm gonna say, just because we don't have a lot of information about it, I'm gonna put it under MaXXXine. Tusk 2, again, I never saw the first Tusk. I think it's only in like kind of the talking stages right now. I'm gonna, again, because I need to see the first one, I'm just gonna say, we'll put it up here because I would be interested in it. As far as I know, it's body horror, so that does sound interesting. Pet Sematary, or as it's called, Untitled Pet Sematary Project. But for all intents and purposes, it is a prequel. It's about young Judd Crandall, the old man from the first movie. So this is set way in the past, and quite frankly, again, like with the idea of prequels, I'm gonna put it below The Omen because I'm just basing off of like franchises that I like. Probably The Omen would be ahead of Pet Sematary. Again, I don't see what they could do that's going to change the way that we see the original movie. So again, like prequels. Urban Legend, Reboot, or whatever we're calling it. This is confusing to me because there's not really any information about it, or like that seems official. I was reading something that said that it had already been filmed, or they were filming it, because this is, again, because of the pandemic, because all of these movies were announced in early 2020 and then were basically put on the back burner just because of everything. So, that's why things got shuffled and now we're seeing them kind of filter out years later. So I don't know if this is completed or they're still in pre-production. I know that Rebecca Gayheart was said to be involved at one point. I don't see her name attached to anything now. And quite frankly, like, I love the first Urban Legend movie, but it's a tired formula. Like, at least with Scream, you have Sidney Prescott, at least for like the first 4 movies or whatever. And then the idea that the killer is always a mystery. It's someone new. But like in terms of this, when it's not the same killer and it's not the same protagonist, it's just like a worse version of the original. So just in terms of like doing the whole, like, essentially it is every movie is a remake. So I can wait for this. And I don't think that it'll be a big release. It'll probably be like released on some like tiny streaming service. So I'd actually be more interested in seeing The Nun, to be honest, and then The Nun 2 before I see an Urban Legend, unless Rebecca Gayheart is in the movie, in which case it'll be bumped up more. Next is VHS 99. This is coming out on Shudder later this month, and I can see this. I mean, it's not essential viewing, but I'll definitely watch it. I'll put it above Nanny just because it's coming out before Nanny. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. This looks absolutely dreadful. Oh my god, I don't know. Does it go at the bottom? This doesn't even have an official release date as far as I know, so I don't know what's going on with it. It just looks really bad. I think the most interesting part of it is just like the controversy around the fact that here's like these Disney characters that just because they're in the public domain, they were able to make this horror movie out of it. Like, it just looks bad. I'd sooner honestly watch Spirit Halloween. And then we have The Wolfman, and this is gonna be from Blumhouse. It's still in pre-production. There's no release date set, but this is going to star Ryan Gosling. This is essentially kind of like the next step after The Invisible Man, of just Blumhouse doing the Universal monsters of updated remakes. And I really did like The Invisible Man. I thought that was a really well done movie. It was originally supposed to be directed by Lee Whannell, who he obviously directed Invisible Man, but he had to drop out. But I'm excited for this. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna put this below Halloween Ends. And just because I'm not going to move anything around here, that's actually going to be my final ranking. Just to wrap things up, I want to thank a few of my Patreon supporters like Maxime Rivest, Joe Sinikevich, Chris H, Sarah Campbell, and Oscar Tipton. If you enjoyed watching this ranking video, there's a few more you can check out over in one of these playlists. Until next time, I've been Zach Cherry, and I'll be right back.